Welcome to another episode of Ikezi Talk Sport or Ikezi Talk Sport. So I know you guys must have noticed that I haven't been uploading stuff for a while, and that's because um, I wanted to I wanted to do something different. I felt like I was kind of deviating from what I originally wanted to do, which is not just to be doing what everyone else is doing. And no disrespect to everyone else that is doing punditry or match analysis, pre-match analysis, post-match analysis currently in the current space. I know there are lots of them, a lot of them that I actually do admire, both from the US, in the UK, in Nigeria as well. No, there are a lot of them especially on Twitter, YouTube. However, I wanted to do something different. I want to have conversations, right? Rather than just sit in front of the mic and talking about games. It's kind of exhausting for me, but then again, it is something that I feel like I just didn't feel so comfortable doing it, right? So what I want to do is I want to have conversations, right? I want to talk about not just the games, but topics, events in and around games, in and around the context surrounding certain clubs. Have intellectual conversations, have debates, bring people on. Let's engage. Let's talk about these things, right? There'll be times when I'll be solo and I'll be talking about, what I feel about certain situations. I give my opinion on certain things, right? And then it will be open to the audience. It will be open to you guys to give your takes, comments, what you actually think. And like I said in the last episode that I dropped, whatever I say here is just my opinion. I'm not presenting it as complete facts or the gospel, right? I just want to build this platform to a point where people can, form constructive opinions from, the content that is being put out on this page. And that's just not it's not just going to be me alone. I'm going to be bringing, by the special grace of God, a lot of people on so that we can talk about different issues, different topics, debates. Also, there'll be banter, there'll be tactical analysis. Talk about tactics, talk about coaches, talk about you know all aspects of the game. It's not just going to be restricted to, okay, there's a game coming out today. Arsenal is playing Brentford, Arsenal is playing Brighton, Arsenal is playing Everton. Let's talk about it. And then after the game, just no, 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 no. Obviously, there'll still be little bits of that, but I want the content to be such that even after, say, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, the content is still relevant, right? You can still always go back and listen and be educated and be informed. I want it to be such that when you listen or you watch my content in 6 months time, it's still relevant. It still makes sense in 6 months, right? Rather than we're just talking about the game. There's about to play this weekend. Once the game is done, you don't have any reason to go back and watch. So that's what I wanted to do, and I just decided that I was going to take a step back and re-strategize And that being said, I'm putting this out, right? Because honestly, it's been difficult. I'm trying to find, football enthusiasts that are willing to come on the show, both physically. I'm located in Texas, McKinney, Texas. So if you can find your way to McKinney, Texas, let's have a conversation. I have a studio set up, and then let's have conversations. Let's debate certain issues. But if you're not in the US or in Texas, wherever you are in the world, as long as you are interested, right? I want it to be diverse. Obviously, I'm working towards having 2 or 3 people that are going to be stable guests or stable co-hosts for this particular page, so that week in, week out, we have this same set of people, including myself. However, I also want a situation whereby I'm able to bring different people from around the world, so that you can use this platform to air out your opinions, right? To share what you think, to participate in the debate, to participate in the talk, in the analysis, in the banter, and so on and so forth. So that's the vision that I have, for this page. I want it to be fun, I want it to be entertaining, I want it to be educative, and I want people to, like I said earlier, stay glued onto this page and form constructive, positive, opinions like of the game from what we talk about here, and then obviously open to debate. So yeah, with that being said, that was a pretty long intro, but I just needed to put that out because I know I don't really have that much following but for those that are following me, sorry for that. For those that are following me, I just wanted to make sure that I gave an explanation as to why the content hasn't been forthcoming as before. There's going to be a shift. And I think it's something that I am excited about. I hope that you can be excited about it as well. Because when I start putting out this content, when I start putting out this releases, hopefully it's something that you can resonate with and long to be a part of, both as an audience or as a guest or even a co-host, right? So yes, yeah. Anyways, you're welcome to another episode of Kzytalksport, where we're going to be putting out a lot of informative content in and around the game. Obviously, the game is soccer, as we call it here in the US, or football, as it's known in Europe and around the world. Today, I'm just going to be going through a couple of topics that I wanted to touch on. A lot of things are happening in and around, the game, with the Premier League, the English Premier League in focus, right? I want to talk about Arsenal's title challenge. I want to talk about Chelsea's inconsistency. I want to talk about Manchester City. That team. There is something about that team. I want to talk about Manchester United as well. The Kobe Mino situation. I would also like to touch on Liverpool. What's going on with Arne Slot? Are they starting to pick up form? I would also like to touch on some teams outside of the Premier League, like Barcelona, Real Madrid. What's going on with Alonso? What might be the reason for their current state of results? Where I am, Barcelona in particular, I want to talk about their eye line. Is it sustainable? Things like that, right? So you can already guess how this new type of direction is going to be like, right? So starting from the first, Arsenal's title challenge. So I'm an Arsenal fan, right? And I'm not going to lie, I'm worried. I am very worried. And it's because I feel like in the last couple of games we haven't been at it. Like Arsenal, we haven't been at it, and it's been very worrisome. The game against Wolves, the last game that Arsenal played, against Wolves, where Wolves are technically the worst team in Premier League history. I'm sure I heard that right when I was watching the game. The commentator did mention that in the history of the Premier League, this current Wolves side, they are the worst. Now, here's the thing. I understand. Like, I knew what to expect. They were going to come and stink the place up. It was going to be a deep block from hell. I knew. However, the players or the coach, if me, that I'm here in McKinney, Texas, can know that is what they're going to deploy, how much more the professionals that are actually managing the club? I'm talking about Arteta and his players, right? Of course they knew. What was really frustrating for me was our inability to break through that low block. First of all, I was extremely disappointed with the lineup. Extremely disappointed. I have an issue with Arteta when it comes to rotating the squad, especially for games like this. Yes, we drop points against Villa, but this is Wolves. No disrespect to Wolves. Wolves, like I said earlier, are the worst team in Premier League history. Why are we starting Declan Rice and Zubimendi in the midfield against Wolves, where you know fully well that these guys are going to come and stink the place up with a deep block from hell? When I saw the lineup, I wasn't impressed. Like, I get our defensive issues with the injuries and all. Zubimendi had no business playing that game. And it could be, that's the thing. You could have sacrificed either as Declan Rice or Zubimendi, right? But Zubimendi had no business playing that game. The reason because Vivendi had played, I think the Champions League game, he played a significant amount of minutes in that game. Declan Rice was rested. So I can understand if you play Declan Rice and then you rest Vivendi. You go all out on attack on these guys because they are playing a low block. They are playing a low block. They're going to play a deep block. Where we need Odegaard is in the build-up, like helping the defense to move the ball in the build-up phase, right? That's where he's been most effective in this season and the past season. We didn't need Odegaard in that game. I would have expected Eze and Nwaneri. And the reason why is because they are both direct. That boy, I think, is more of a supporting striker than he is an 8 or an attacking midfielder. That boy wants to score goals. That boy just wants to cut inside and bend the ball into the top corner. That's what he wants to do. That's a game where, number one, you could have afforded him the required minutes. You could have played the entire game, or at least 70% of that game, because you know that the Wolves are not going to come out. They're going to sit back. You could have played him and Eze. Try to test that combination in a low-risk game. We are at home. If it was an away game, I would have understood. You play your captain. But we are at home. You start Eze, you start Nwaneri. Then you can... I was very surprised with the Martinelli starting in the line, because you know that Wolves are going to play a deep block. Why are you starting Martinelli? Why? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Because we all know all Martinelli does is run. There was nowhere for him to run to. So why are you starting? Why are you playing Martinelli? Why are you playing Martinelli? There's nowhere for him to run to. I understand that Trossard was he was injured before the game. It was a low risk. But in that case, instead of now playing Eze as the second 8, you could have played Eze on the wings and used Merino in the midfield. They are going to play low block. We're going to peg them in. You need players that can actually be... Merino in that midfield would offer more in attack. He's going to play the role that Havertz was actually brought into play. A late player into the box, crashing into the box. A player that's also good with his head. Merino can finish. Why did you not? I don't understand. That game was a very useless game. And I was disappointed because it exposed the manager. It exposed the players. I thought the mentality was weak. Extremely weak. And it bothers me. See this title challenge? It bothers me a lot, because if you are going to... We scored, I'm not sure, maybe in the 70-something minutes against Wolves that did not play anything all game. Then we now sit back. Haba. Meant to sit back. Sit back for what? Sit back for what? Against Wolves. I just felt like the mentality there is the issue. The mentality right there is the issue. You're playing against Wolves. You struggled all game to break them down. You eventually score, it was an own goal, right? At the Saka corner, it was an own goal. You should try to kill them off. These are games where you start bad. You try to increase your goal advantage. But we scored against Wolves, and as title contenders, we sat back. Wolves had 70% of possession before they scored. Now, even talking about that goal, it was lazy defending. And lazy defending doesn't just come about. There's a much more psychological thing. And the psychological thing is, their mentality is weak. If you're going to win the title, you take no prisoners. You kill, you destroy every club. You put them to the sword. You treat Wolves as though you are playing Real Madrid. That is how you win the Premier League. It is very tough. And those players cannot tell me that they don't know. They can't tell me that they don't know. That lackadaisical defending against Wolves in the 90th minute. And here's why I'm worried. We've considered against Wolves, we considered in the 90th minute. Against Aston Villa, we considered in the 90 plus minutes. Against Sunderland, we considered 90 plus minutes. There is already a pattern. These are Premier League games that were not so... I can understand the Aston Villa game, but the Sunderland game, we controlled that game from first minute to the last minute. But yet, because And it is a problem. We're not able to break down 10-man Chelsea. It is a mentality problem. It's a mentality problem. And before this season, I was telling a lot of my friends, I'm like, see, I have no, what's the word? I have no sentiments towards anybody. I think the only player that I will be maybe sentimental about in that squad, there are just three. These are three world-class players, in my opinion. Or maybe four. Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice, Saka. Honestly. But the thing is, even with my sentiment, if any of those guys decide that they want to leave, I have nothing against them. You know why? Because I feel like those players, they've given this club their all. Everybody else did not level up. This is not me forgiving Saka for that nonsense defending that himself and Odegaard were guilty of against that Wolves team, because just before that guy crossed the ball, it opens like they were clapping for the guy. They literally stood beside him. He controlled the ball, he dressed it. He could have taken 3 more touches and Saka and Odegaard would have just continued to look at him. He crossed that ball. That goal was so stupid. The guy that scored the goal had not scored all season for them in the league. He didn't even place it. The ball went to the middle. What was Raya doing? It's just typical Arsenal. And I'm an Arsenal fan. That's why it's paining me, because when people start to banter us, the banter is justified. Because when I think about it, in fact, people don't even waste their breath trying to banter us at this stage of the season, because they know that at the end of it all, at the tail end, we are going to falter like we have always been doing. It's a terrible trend. Last season, I clocked the team early, and I was telling my friend last season, I was telling him, because there were games against Leicester, another game against I'm trying to remember now. There were some very shaky games at the beginning of the season that I felt, you know what? I don't think these players have. I don't think that they have learned from the mistakes of the previous 2 seasons, where we could have won it, but we considered the title to Man City. Last season we considered it to Liverpool. Those 2 seasons before, where we considered to Man City, we were leading and the Man City overtook us. The mistakes that we made, I saw them making it again early last season. And you see, those mistakes, they're starting to make it again. It's a pattern. And that's why when people banter us now, I can't talk, and I don't blame them, because it's now a seasonal thing. It happens every season. And that's why I was going to say, what I was saying earlier, if at the end of this season, we don't win anything, and by anything, I mean a major trophy. I'm not talking about Carabao or FA Cup. If you're not winning the Premier League or the Champions League, if players like Saliba, Saka, Declan Rice, Gabriel Magalhaes decide that they want to leave the club, I can't even be mad. If this crop or this group of players don't manage to win anything by the end of this season, I think they should disband them. Or is that you disband the players, or you get a new manager. All this talk about Arteta being a very good coach, that's what he is, a very good coach. Arteta is a very good coach. Abi, Thomas Frank too is a very good coach. Because the difference between Arteta, there's no difference between Arteta and Thomas Frank. Or Arteta and not Thomas Frank. Oliver Glasner, for example, 1 FA Cup and 2 Community Shield. That's all you have in 6 years, right? One is coaching Crystal Palace, the other one is coaching Arsenal. Very good coach. That's it. If you don't bring those major titles, it remains that. You cannot take yourself to the conversations of being world class. You cannot. You just cannot. It's a big source of concern for me. It's a big source of concern for me. So like I said, this title race, Man City, they picked up form at the right time. It was about a 7 or 8 point gap about a month ago. Now it's 2 points. And we all know how Man City are. Once they smell blood, that's the end. They will go on that demonic 20-game unbeaten run from January to like April. Anybody drop point that period, that's the end. They are gone. And look at this team. Just look at them. Almost dropping 2 points against Wolves at home. Next game is against Everton away. I mean, the next couple of fixtures that we have are fixtures where last season we didn't win them. So we are playing Everton away. I think last season we drew that game. I might be mistaken. We're playing Bournemouth away. Last season we lost that game. We're playing Aston Villa at home. last season. We drew that game. We're playing Liverpool at home. Last season, we drew that game. I'm trying to think if I think there's another game that I'm missing. Very tough games, extremely tough games. So I want to see. This is going to be the true test. And no, miss me with that. We are having an injury crisis bullshit. We are not the only ones having an injury crisis. We are not just managing our own better. That's just the truth of the matter. Do you think Man City don't have injury crisis? Do you know Foden only just got back and is started to pick form? Cheki had been out for a while. He just got back. Rodri has not even. I'm not sure he has kicked the ball this season. So when you want to argue and say Havertz has not kicked the ball, Rodri has not kicked the ball this season. A lot of their defenders have been in and out. Nobody should miss me with that bullshit. I don't even want to hear it because the amount of money that we spent in the summer, you cannot even come and be telling me that. So these are the issues. See this Arsenal title challenge? Me, I'm not sure. I know it's early, it's in December, but like I said, there are patterns, and once those patterns start to show, you clock it, and I've clocked it. I have clocked it. This team, it doesn't look like they understand what it takes to win the league. And until you get it over the line, it's always going to be that barrier. It's always going to be that thing, until they get it over the line. If you check the recent title winning squads, they don't games like this. You win, you play dirty, you win it anyhow. You don't come up. Come on, that game against Aston Villa. Sorry, I'm drinking to you before people think I'm taking alcohol. It's winter. We're approaching winter. Yeah, it's very cold though. So I'm drinking tea. In fact, the tea is really becoming cold. Anyways, so yeah, like. If you're going to be champions, you have to win. You have to go to people's grounds, bully them, get the win, and then you go. Not conceding late goals to Sunderland, not just conceding late goals to Aston Villa. In fact, the game is against Aston Villa. That defending, it was giving me Mustafi and Socrates vibes all over again. Because what was that? And our captain was there, but watching, looking. I don't know, man. A lot of things that I want to talk about. One of the things that I also want to talk about, and I know that this is going to cause division among Arsenal fans. I don't think Odegaard should be captain. I'm beginning to realize it more and more. I don't think that guy should be captain. I think Declan Rice should rightly be the captain of that club. It suits Declan Rice more. And it has shown this season. Declan Rice has been the leader. In the absence, when Odegaard was absent, and even when he was present, Declan Rice has been the leader of that group. For example, the game I always refer to the game against Wolves. That game, I could see even when we scored the second own goal that they were celebrating. Declan Rice was yelling at Odegaard and Saka. Guys, come on! As the captain, even Odegaard, there's no reason for you to be celebrating that goal. You people are putting a terrible performance. You are going there, you are shouting. I was so pissed. That goal did not get me off my seat. I hissed because I was irritated. It shouldn't have gotten to that. What are we celebrating here? A last minute own goal winner against Wolves that have 2 points in 15 or 16 games. God forbid. I didn't stand up, bro. The clients went there and was telling them, guys, what, everyone was jubilating. Anyways, I don't think that until April. Okay, April is too far. I think by March thereabout, we will know if this Arsenal are title contenders or not. Right now, at the moment, is anybody's title? I don't think Aston Villa will win it. Man City, they have the experience, they have the pedigree. I think it's Man City's title. With the way things are moving now. Unless something dramatic happens to Man City. And by something dramatic, maybe Erling Haaland gets an injury, Phil Foden goes out of form, something like that. That's it though. That's it about that. Honestly, I don't even think I'll be able to cover all the topics, all the things that I wanted to talk about, right? So, you guys can see that these are topics where, I'm talking about it. I'm solo. I'm doing solo at the moment. I'm talking about it. However, I feel like when I start to have my co-host and my guest on, these are topics that we'll actually talk and debate in detail. Sometimes it might plan to maybe go over like 5 topics, and then we end up talking about one just because of how serious or how interesting that particular topic is, or maybe there are just a lot of takes, right, from that particular topic. So, anywho, I also like to talk about Chelsea's inconsistency. I'm not a Chelsea fan, and trust me, see this Chelsea inconsistency, I'm happy. It is suits me because you guys don't know how much I dislike that football club. I mean, this. I want this page to be as neutral as possible, right? Even though it's difficult to set aside rivalry and be objective about certain things, I will try my best to do that. I will try my best to do that because I also want Chelsea fans to come and watch what we're talking about and gain some valuable information, like form constructive, reasonable opinions about their team, about their club, about their players, about situations, events in and around the club. Anyways, talking about Chelsea's inconsistency, what's really going on? I know I said in one of the episodes that I put out that I feel like one of the major things that is affecting Chelsea, in my opinion, I think it comes down to the manager, is one, the squad size. The squad size, right? My issue about the squad. Okay, so let me break it down. There's the squad size. There's the business model of the club, and I think those two go hand in hand. And those two are now affecting their performances on the pitch. Here's what I mean. Chelsea's business model. Let me start with that. From what I can see, right? From what is obvious to the public, Chelsea are extremely active in the transfer market. You would not believe that the current players that they have now, right, are not all the players. So aside players that are on loan, Chelsea have actually bought so many players that have not even joined the team yet. I don't know if that makes sense. For example, when they bought Estevao, I think they bought him way ahead, before he came. I think there are two players that they bought from Sporting Lisbon that are not players in the team yet. That are probably coming next year. They are always active, always buying players. There are some players that they loan to their other team in France, Strasbourg. And the reason why they do that is so that they can develop those players. They buy players, play them for a while, increase their value so that other teams can come and either buy those players first or loan those players. So when those players go on loan, they perform at their loan clubs. And Chelsea so that's the thing. Their business model, they are very good at doing those things. Extremely good. They've been doing it over the years. Now they're just perfecting it. Loan those players. When those players come back, they sell them off at a slightly higher value than they bought them. And something that they do brilliantly is before the players go out on loan, and this was before they started doing this amortization of the transfer fees and the contract, where they are signing prison-like, slavery-like contracts. Imagine signing Kopama to a 12-year, I think it's a 12-year contract. How do you break free from that contract? But before they started this long contract, they used to do one strategy. Before a player goes out on loan, the player signs a contract, an additional year to their contract, just to protect the value of that player. And this starts with conversations, honest conversations with the player. Like, the players are aware, because I wonder, they keep buying players and players keep going there. Like, why? It's almost like, don't you feel like you're not going to play? Do you understand? Like, but then it works for them. It works for them. They have brilliant people handling the financial aspect of the club, right? So they have so many players. So in their the wingers, they have Estevao, they have Garnacho, they have Pedro Neto, they have Gittins. I think they have 4. At every point in time, they always have more. Sterling is not registered, obviously. Last season they had Sancho came in, they had Madrid. They have a plethora of options every year. But the thing about those players is all of them are average. They're average. Yes, Gittins is average. There's nothing phenomenal about him. He's just another Mitoma. I'm not even joking. I'm being serious. And this is not even banter. Garnacho, come on. There is nothing really. It's just the average winger that will disturb you, once in a while. What's his name? Pedro Neto. It's just the Martinelli. It's average. The only person that I know that has potential is that Estevao boy. But this still brings me back to the problem. So I've talked about the business model. They have a lot of players because they want to keep that financial pipeline moving. They want to keep it moving. We're buying players, we're playing them for a while, we loan them, we increase the value, we sell them, we make profits. And these players, their investments or their assets are protected because they sign lifetime contracts. Imagine signing a 12-year contract. That's your entire career now. That's your entire playing career. Not everybody's going to play it for 20 years like Ronaldo. So the average is probably 12 years. So if you sign a 12-year contract, Chelsea, they are protecting their assets. You can't blame them. So now you have so many players playing one position. You are forced to rotate those players. Doesn't have a choice but to rotate the players. I feel like if it was left to Maresca, he would have decided a starting 11. Somebody from up, maybe the management, CEO, whatever, somebody that is the director of the business or director of football, is telling Maresca that you cannot afford to keep certain players on the bench for long. It might be stipulated in their contract because you can't sign nobody will sign a 12-year contract without getting assurances. So those assurances are tied to appearances. That is, if you are not injured, you're going to play, and when you play, you perform. Your value, if the team is doing well, especially if you have a good coach, we preserve or we increase your value so that we can sell you after. There's risk involved. There will be some players that you bank on, they will not perform, like the likes of Disasi and Sterling and Co. They are not registered. But in the grand scheme of things, it's almost like they are forcing the hand of the coach. He has to rotate. If Maresca did not rotate with Madueke, Arsenal will probably not have bought him for the amount that they bought him. That's not the truth of the matter. Imagine he's sitting on the bench and not playing. How will his value go up? Right? And this is not, Chelsea have always been a very good selling club anyways. They know how to sell their assets. But I'm just saying, rotating that squad, in my opinion, chemistry between players, harder to achieve. So think about it like this. Think about the Liverpool team, the Champions League and Premier League winning Liverpool team under Jurgen Klopp. We knew this starting 11. In the attack, we had Firmino, Salah, Mane. In midfield, we had Henderson, Fabio, Wijnaldum. In defense, we had Van Dijk, Konate, Robertson, Trent. At the post, we had Alisson. That's the starting lineup. So those players, they played together for a very long time. So many games that they now have chemistry between themselves. What that means is that Trent can close his eyes and play a pass because he knows that he has played that pass to Salah before 40 times. And Salah has probably told him, when I make this run, you do it like this. They've tried it. He cannot do that pass with his eyes closed because he knows Salah is going to be there. That's why sometimes when you're playing, see, these are the details that people miss in football. From a defensive situation, you think he's just clearing the ball. He's clearing the ball to a zone because he knows that based on the data, he has played that ball several times. He expects that player is going to be there. Like, he already knows the player to know that he's going to make that run and be there. All these things are what happen, Players, they form bond, chemistry between themselves, especially if you have a stable starting level. But if you don't have a stable starting level, today is Gusto, tomorrow is James, next tomorrow is Chalobah that is playing right back. Today is Enzo is 10, tomorrow is Joao Pedro is 10, next tomorrow you see Santos there or Palmer. Today on the left is Gittins, tomorrow is Garnacho, next tomorrow they've put Pedro Neto there. What is going on? How do you expect these players to form the connection? Their defensive situation today is Fofana, tomorrow is Akinbong, next tomorrow it is Tosin. Before you know it, they put Hato. See, that chemistry will be hard, and that is why that inconsistency of results will be there. Now, whenever Chelsea want to play a big team, they will play what is very close to their standard starting 11, and that's why in those games they do very well. They will do. James will play that game. Fofana will play that game. Cucurella will play that game. Caicedo will play. Enzo will play. Palmer will play. Maybe Joao Pedro will play. Pedro Neto and I don't know who is, maybe Garnacho. Somebody will just start on the left. That's a much more stable starting 11. And that's why they do so well in those games. But by the time they want to play a Bournemouth or a Sunderland, they start rotating the squad. Now, that's where the inconsistencies now start to creep in. That's when you see Tosin. That's when you see Chaluba, Achim Pong. That's when you be seeing Santos. You see McGui. So you guys can see now, that is my opinion. I might be right, I might be wrong. There's a order from the top. The business model is such that we buy players, we buy in a lot of players, we loan them out, send them to our feeders team, Strasbourg, to develop, bring them from Strasbourg to Chelsea, play them in a rotated system, preserve or increase their value. Then when an offer comes in, we sell. So if we buy in that pipeline, if we buy a player for 20 million, you should be aiming to sell for nothing less than 35, 40 million. You make small pockets of profit like that. Now, the people think you need to make a big sale to make. See, not every club is going to have that player. I mean, how many times do you even, as a big team, and that's the problem with big teams. Big teams are not able to sell big like that because you can't sell all your superstars now. You can probably only afford to sell one superstar per window. Think about it. You can probably only afford to sell one superstar per window because by the time you sell like 3 superstars now, your team is depleted. You have to replace them because of the standard of your team, right? That's why big teams are not really good at selling players unless you have a galactic cause of superstars, and you can afford to sell 2, 3, 4 and still be okay. That's why teams like smaller teams like Brighton, they will always sell well. Brighton can afford to sell 2 players for a profit margin of 400% and still do well because they have a pipeline. Once they sell that player, they're just going to bring another player that they've been scouting. Look at that Kante, Caicedo, Baleba pipeline. That's Brighton. Think about it for a minute. Think about the is it McAllister, Rodson? Because this is their current number 10. Think about it. They have a pipeline. They had Cucurella, Estupinian. Those guys are very good at selling, but they're a small team. Southampton too did it for a while before they finished up, when they were just churning out the likes of Lallana, Henderson, Sadio Mane, Van Dijk, and there were so many players. Even we went to go and buy. I don't know who we bought that time. We didn't buy the good ones. Was it Chambers? I can't remember. They had Luke Shaw. They had so many players that is in that pipeline because they're a small team. But big teams, you can't sell. Liverpool were to sell a superstar now. They can't afford to sell a lot. Maybe just one. This last window, because Luis Diaz just wanted to leave. Everybody knew Nunes was terrible. They were able to sell those 2, and even with those, it's affecting them now because they brought in a lot of players that have not gelled well with the team, or the manager just can't seem to play them well. So think about it. If Arsenal is going to sell a superstar, you can't just sell 2 or 3 at the same time. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you look at Chelsea, if Chelsea wake up on one morning or in the next transfer window and say, you know what, Garnacho, you are going. Pedro Neto, you are going. No, maybe not Gusto. Santos, you are going. Maybe someone like there's somebody else in that team, like Magui, you are going. Do you know that by the sales of those players, they can recoup 70 million in profits? Because Chelsea, they sell well, and they will not. It won't affect them. You know what? There's one guy coming for Sporting Lisbon. One winger, is he Quenda or something? Is coming. They have other players. They have players in Strasbourg. There's this guy that doesn't even play their Premier League that they bought from Brighton. What's his name? I can't remember. Is he Enciso or Buonanotte? I think they signed Enciso and sent him to Strasbourg. I might be wrong, go. I may be wrong, but I know Buonanotte is a Chelsea player. I don't see him play the Premier League. He plays only their Champions League games. That boy, just watch. They will play. They will tell you, oh, he's a Champions League. He has played Champions League minutes. He's a this thing. The time one club comes from France or Spain now, just sell him 40 million. Bam, he has gone. They recoup. So that's the business angle, and I think that there's a pressure from higher above on Maresca to rotate the squad. Now is in a fix, and I had this conversation with my friend where we said we feel like that team is built for cup games, because when you're playing a cup game, you can rest your best players in between. Like, maybe if you're playing league games, you rest them, And then for those cup games, you play them, you get the best out of the squad. That's why Chelsea, in my opinion, regardless of where they end up in the league, in this Champions League, they will go far. Chelsea will go far in the Champions League. Trust me. That's why they won the Club World Cup games. They will play their best 11, right? All this FA Cup Carabao, watch, they will get to the other semi-final or final because they are built for cup. But you see, the league, the consistency across 38 games. If you are going to be rotating players the way you are rotating, especially when your club, your team is made up of a lot of average and mediocre players like Tosin and you cannot be consistent. You cannot be consistent. Now, what the future is for Maresca, because I know he did come out in a recent interview where he said, he hinted at a bit of frustration, right, about him not being supported in the last couple of games. I think they got 2 points in 4 games or something like that, or no wins in 4 games. I think it was 2 draws and 2 losses. And he came out and said the support has dropped. And for him to come out and say something like that, I feel like he's calling out whoever is not supporting him from higher up, because the instruction, in my opinion, like, this is just my opinion, the instruction is that you have to rotate the squad. You have to rotate the squad, because I don't think a coach can be stubborn like that when something is clearly not working, and then you insist that that's what you're going to continue to do. So, for me, I just feel like that's what is happening. I feel like that's what is happening. But like I said, I might be wrong. So yeah, Chelsea fans, if you think that you have a different opinion, or you think something else is at play, right? Please let me know. Let me know in the comment section. Like, I'm literally begging. I want to know, because I want to gain insights as to what is actually happening in your club. I want to really understand. Aside the banter, like, see, when you guys drop points or you guys are being inconsistent, I love it. I love it though. It suits me, Baje. It suits me that I hate to watch Chelsea a lot. I wake up 6 a.m. in the morning just to be there. Be there at the downfall of my enemies. I'm there, present, front row seats, premium tickets. But being a football enthusiast, being a football content creator, being something that's very, very much interested in the growth and the game, I really want to understand what is happening in the Chelsea camp. What do you think is happening? Now, if you want to come on the show and partake in a conversation, right, let's have a back and forth. Let's talk it out. I have other opinions. that I want to I won't say debate, but I want to discuss. And I would like to discuss it with a Chelsea fan that understands what is happening. I don't watch Chelsea as much as, a typical Chelsea fan. I would only watch Chelsea because I want to hate watch. And sometimes I'm watching the game, if you guys have scored 2 or 3 in the first half, I just turn it off or go do something else, right? It's not that deep. So I'm more inclined towards Arsenal, and I know how things work in Arsenal. I know the hierarchy and everything, but I don't really know that about Chelsea. So if I can have someone come in and educate us, and let's talk it out, let's discuss, so we can all gain a better understanding, and then give like some constructive feedback or criticisms of whatever of the team, and we'll see how we can move forward from that. Trust me, I've had people tell me that I'm a low-key Chelsea fan, but the truth is I am not. Honestly, I'm not. I just love the game. I love to look at things from a different angle. I like to look at things, from a different angle, just to try to understand what exactly is going on, to have like a full holistic view, about certain issues, not just surface level, but like deep, insightful views and thinking about it. So unfortunately, we won't be able to cover all the topics. I wanted this to be like an hour long. I don't want to overshoot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break this into different clips. I think from this rollout we have like 3 different clips. The first clip will be like the introduction. The second clip will be when I was talking about Arsenal and the title on. The third clip will be about Chelsea's inconsistency. So this particular Chelsea this particular topic about Chelsea, I will still bring a couple of hosts, my friends, on, and then we'll talk about it. Like this is just like, let me just target part one, right? A lot of the stuff that I've mentioned today, I'll probably still repeat, and then we'll talk about it in a better breadth, on a better scope, right? So, like I said, if you want to be a part of this, just reach out to me, shoot me an email, kzytalksport@gmail.com. I'll try to put it up. I'll put it in the bio, in the description. I'll also try to put it up on the screen, so you can just shoot me an email, let me know that you want to engage, and then we'll work a time, a schedule for you to come on the show, right? Thank you so much for listening. If you're able to get to this point, it's fine. If not, it is totally cool. If you love this content, please like, share, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.